Sensing energy, watch how you react. Just an add-on to the last video we did where we were talking about sensing energy and comparing things in order to drive home the idea that their energy is different. Here's something else to compare: early Beatles music pre-1965, the "She Loves You Yeah Yeah Yeah" music to Nirvana's Teen Spirit. I rest my case. You can sense energy. They're both good music, well done, but one is definitely darker than the other. They never called the Beatles music grunge either, and there's a reason for that. The innocence of the Beach Boys' Little Disc Coupe or Little Old Lady from Pasadena versus Metallica's Sandman. What happened? The deep state happened, to turn our music dark on us. It went from groups about bugs to Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, and Being in Chains, references to penises as if they're evil, and fecal matter. This is social programming. The hippies of the 60s were a large wave of starseeds from other planets, so the DS used their attempts to bring light into this world by darkening it. And you see it today. Few can get along, kids are being trained to kill via their Xbox or whatever, and now we're being trained to see everyone else as a pile of germs. I'm going back to that grocery store incident where I was accosted by one toxic woman's energy as she served me. I felt the knife in my back as I walked away. What surprised me, though, was the way I reacted. I started acting like a kid again, trying to be sweet and innocent and caring towards her, in the hopes she wouldn't slash me to bits with her harsh energy. That was how I acted as a kid, subservient. These are survival behaviors. What I believe happened is her energy put me right back in the same state I was as a child whenever my father would bellow in rage or be at his toxic worst. And I believe it has to do with energy being vampired as well, because believe me, I'm usually not that powerless when it comes to anything. Anymore I would look at her and shield up if anything. Or just assert my right in my own mind, to exist as I am, and sorry for you, lady. I wouldn't let her steal my energy. People who do have many attachments or their soul is negative in nature. Or both. I have a new neighbor now. Guy lives alone in the apartment behind mine. He hasn't said anything to me yet, but when I focus on him, I get nothing. What just occurred to me is I connect with people soul to soul. I connect with the soul first and then find out later they have a shadow, but that's another story. This guy I've focused on and he doesn't seem to have a soul. I can't sense anything. I can't say I even like him, either. I can't sense a soul. To me, he feels like there's nothing to connect with, and it's not like I was going to anyway, considering the trouble my neighbors have given me. That would explain a lot about how I sense energy in others, either negative souls like my ex-neighbor who abandoned Merlin or the incarnated black-eyed demonic who used to live above me, regular earthly souls, starseed souls like the neighbor I talked to who I have given many chances to despite his egotistical treatment of me, or no souls like this new guy. Maybe I've been doing this all along and I just needed more to compare before this really clicked in. I can say I don't like this guy already and I don't even know him. That wouldn't make sense to our intellectual minds, would it? But it makes sense to our intuitive minds. Very much so. He gives me a feeling of the lights are on but nobody's home. I don't say that to be demeaning, but I'm saying that because I get that feeling from him. Nobody's in there. I think there's another type in my neighbor across the street. She's about 80 some odd years old and really negative, and I don't sense much from her either. Many old people on Earth have been through the Matrix and it has whittled their soul connection down to an absolute fragment of what it was when they were born. You see no light in their eyes and they are miserable. That's because these people have been subjected to mind control and have had their energy vampired so that their life force is at a minimum, barely keeping them alive. My mother was like that too. These are not the people who would break out in a cha-cha in the middle of the market square, not robust enjoyers of life. They just do what they need to exist, and complain of anyone who appears to be enjoying themselves. My neighbor is like this. The only thing is she loves her animals and watches over all the animals in the neighborhood too. She asks often about Merlin's health and had noticed his bum knee. You are probably doing the same thing. You can feel a connection to some people and instant repulsion to others. This also works at the ego level, I find, because there are people who are of high light, or at least who claim to be, and watch out for this too, who I don't like because they're too big for their britches, as the old expression goes. They think too much of themselves. There's that too. You can probably sense people on many levels. The one thing you have to do is to understand your initial reaction to them and to honor it. If you have a negative reaction to someone and you don't listen, believe me, you'll end up getting the karmic lesson. Many people react negatively to others because they embody the very faults that you don't like about yourself. That's easy to deal with. Ask yourself if they remind you of you at any time in your life, not just the present, because these things often get buried for a long time and you have gotten good at hiding them from yourself. When I was a kid, I thought that everybody was really toxically negative. I was surrounded by so many people who were manipulated by the matrix and demonics that I took that for normal. One of the things that changed my opinion was working in corporate offices, believe it or not. Because I started to meet gentle people. I started to meet kind people. I started to meet people who, yes, were part of the structure but were not ruthless and harassing in nature. These people were professionals and they enacted professional standards, and thank God, because they helped me to understand there were other people in life. Thanks to these people, I could see a way out of my nightmarish life. My first 30 years I was surrounded by complete toxicity, even by the shoemaker who asked if he could kiss me. Yeah, never went back to him. I had to get away from my family even part-time to begin to understand there was better to be had in this world, and that they were not typical. I expect I learned to trust people more so when I worked there, and I could see that there were people who valued me, even if they put a price on it, for who I was and for what I did. If you're surrounded by toxic people, it's not their fault. I expect that a lot of families who are like mine are that way because that's what it takes to keep them from ascending, that much abuse. In my family's case, it was my father who was the starseed and he has returned home now. One of the things that really helped when I worked in offices was corporate policies regarding sexual harassment. That is maybe even a divine injunction levied against the false king of tyranny mind control programming, and the sexual misery mind control programming. These policies help both men and women begin to see each other in a different light, and like I said, who knows, maybe God levied that injunction to stop this nonsense. Ivo, as for sensing energy, my love, again we stress the difference between sensing energy at a higher soul level, and your intellectual opinion. You must learn to differentiate. The best way to do this is not to have an opinion. Me, lol, too late for me. Ivo, your opinion is turning more benevolent, forgiving and more compassionate as you begin to understand the true reality of life. So you can then sense something and understand that a feeling of negativity is something you are sensing, if your opinion is more positive. For example, the French fry truck just pulled up. Let us take that as an example. Imagine having to make a living selling French fries from the back of a truck. Flipping hamburgers for a living. Me, yes, our illustrious school system's cranking out another burger flipper. Yes, that's why you go to school for 12 years, folks. No offense to burger flippers, I was one in my last job as well. Ivo, so you have compassion for the man who earns minimum wage working in Greece all day. Were you to walk up to the truck, how would you feel? Me, I'm not eating French fries at the moment, I'm off of a lot of fast foods I used to eat. Ivo, yes. So you have an emotional feeling of this is not good for you, that is your mental and emotional mind working together. At times, though, you are able to hear the thoughts of the meat that is shaped into a hamburger. Me, I know. The hamburger that told me how it didn't want to die. If everyone could talk to their hamburgers, there'd be more vegans on the planet, I'm sure. Ivo, yes. So you were telepathically connected to your hamburger. Me, I've also heard chives screaming as I cut them, which wasn't pleasant either. I've got to eat. Ivo, we have the perfect solution. We make food from energy. That way no animal or plant is killed in the process. Me, yes, food synthesizers. Like they had on Star Trek. Ivo, yes. I might add that you are able to block your telepathic ability as well when it does not suit you, and you did this with hamburger meat because you still eat it, and yes, you are iron deficient so you crave it. Me, I know. Some people do require what meat has to offer the body. Ivo, I would like you to open your communicative channels to speak to the fruit, meat, and vegetables that you eat. You might get a broader understanding of life that way. Me, okay. Ivo, what would you do, then? How would you feel walking up to the French fry truck? Me, I would feel like there was grease all over my face. It's too greasy. Ivo, this is intellectualism. Me, it's going to start raining. Maybe I can talk to the thunder cloud. Ivo, yes, that is another task. What if you could talk to the clouds and get the weather to change by cooperating with them? Me, interesting. Ivo, you can feel the clouds. Me, yes, they feel forbidding. But maybe that's from when I was a kid. I think all weather, ultimately, is nourishing. Ivo, so there is much intellectual interference between you and nature. Me, yes, Another one the school taught us. Rain was bad. That's why people complain about the weather too, because they learned it was bad in kindergarten. Get over it, folks. Weather is weather. Ivo, focus on feeling the clouds rather than intellectualizing them. Do this with everything. Do this with your amethyst gems, your other crystals. Feel them. Understand that most of what you learned does not serve you now. Like the rain being bad. Like meat being good for you, for most it is not. Involve more of yourself into your perception of everything. Also try psychometry. You have done this before. Me, I know. Hold on to something and read it. Get ideas of who owned it before you, etc., etc. Or who made it. See what you see in your mind's eye and try to ignore intellectual interference. Me, I think those rain clouds feel exciting. Ivo, yes, there is energy in them. Positive ions and negative ions. There is much wind circulation in a thundercloud. Try to feel the energy. Me, I get a sense that me and thunderclouds aren't so different. Humans are electromagnetic beings. A cloud is electric. Our thoughts are electric. I guess that's how rainmakers work. The natives probably knew this and they could send electrical energy up to the sky in the form of their thoughts. Ivo, yes. That is also why humans must be careful of lightning storms. Because they are energy transmitters and so is a thundercloud. It, too, is an energy transmitter and it is easiest to connect with a thing similar to yourself. Unfortunately the thunderclouds are more powerful than your body so you tend to be burned. The body cannot transmit the charge without any damage. Me, so the mind is that much more powerful than the body? Ivo, yes, solid matter, if you wish to call your body that, is slow enough of frequency to be seen by your eyes. Your thoughts, typically are not. Me, I've seen them coming out of one woman's head once. It looked like one of those glow lamps. Ivo, yes. It seemed a blob to you in the physical but in its own dimension, a thought is a fine beam of light. Me, so the difference between just a fluffy cloud or a chemtrail and a thundercloud is pretty phenomenal. Regular clouds are just collections of moistness. A chemtrail is a spray of chemicals. But a thundercloud has activity and emits rain and lightning. The thunder, of course, is the air splitting apart by the lightning. Yup, there's Merlin at the door. He knows it's going to rain. He's so in touch with the energy of the weather. Ivo, all clouds interact with their environment. When the regular cloud, cumulus or stratus cloud, attains enough moisture, it morphs into a rain cloud. Me, what makes it thunder then? It's just starting now. Ivo, the heat. Me, so throwing bolts of lightning cools down the ground. Ivo, it changes its frequency. That is the easiest explanation. Heat is released when one's frequency is higher. The sun has a high frequency so it is very hot. The way to change the frequency of the ground or localized area is to change its polarity. If the polarity is too positive, a negative charge will be created in order to neutralize the ground and cool the air in the area. Me, I get it. Thanks Ivo. So we went from sensing energy to a weather lesson. Ivo, if you wish, you can sense the energy changing during a thunderstorm. Sit outside under shelter and feel the air change. This is another way for you to sense energy and to reconnect with nature. Me, true. Thank you. Ivo, you are most welcome. I must admit that you will see more UFOs around thunderclouds as we tend to like them. Me, why? Ivo, because of the neutrality they create on the ground and in the air. It does not affect our own personal polarity as much when we fly, and also the ship flies easier in a thunderstorm because of the neutralization of the airspace created by the lightning. We prefer positive polarity or neutral will suffice as well. Your world is largely of negative polarity and this makes it more difficult to fly our ships. They are not made for negative polarity flying. That is why they crash occasionally. Me, maybe make sure your pilots are in a bad mood, lol. Ivo, no, this would not work, my love.